What's up, everyone, and welcome to Jason Old Art Behind the Art. Today we're looking at a painting that I titled Requiem, and I actually got the inspiration for the title from the song Requiem from the band Strung Out. It's a punk rock band that they put out an acoustic album, and Requiem is a song on that album. And so I was listening to it and I was like, yeah, I like that. And so that was sort of the motivation behind the title. And so I wanted to create something that had death and celebration in it. And while that sounds a little strange, what I wanted to do was put myself in the shoes of somebody who was terminal. And for them, death would be this sweet release that would liberate them from their pain and suffering that they endure on the day-to-day. And so I actually included as well an ekphrastic poem that I wrote about about the painting. And so, but before I read the poem, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the painting. And in terms of the painting itself, of course, you see the skull. That's one of the most prominent, images on the canvas. And but at the same time, I didn't want it to be dark and morbid. And but rather, while it is a very heavy piece on the canvas and has a big major presence, I wanted to obviously have inside the eyes things that were more positive and uplifting and peaceful in a sense, at least in the case of the sunset, which is clearly a very peaceful time of the day, particularly for the folks that are sitting there watching it sink into the ocean, for example. And then on the other side, I have here 3 perfectly barreling waves, which indicates that I was thinking about surfing. So again, very positive imagery there, very uplifting imagery. At least for me in the case of surfing, it's something that I love doing. And so, but in keeping with those colors and the theme, at least of the sunset, I wanted to also balance out the painting with these flowers. And so, as you can see, the colors of these flowers are very much in line with the colors of the sunset. And so you get the reds, the oranges, the yellows. And so I wanted to do that so it, in a way, the colors were all matching in a sense, but at the same time, as you can see, having a flower here and a flower here, sort of provide that counterbalance for such a something that was taking up so much space on this side of the canvas. And so I think that worked out well to balance it out. And when I finished with the skull and the flowers, I was thinking, I'm like, okay, how do I bring these together in a way that is cohesive, right? And so that's when the vines came to mind. And I was like, okay, that's perfect. And so I wanted to run these vines, through the skull as a way to create this cohesion between all of the elements of the painting, but at the same time, it gives it a bit more of an organic and back to earth feel, which is also what I was looking for. And so I think that worked out perfectly. And so, as it runs through the eyes and the nose, and it just creates this really organic feel to it. And in fact, one of my favorite parts of the skull is the nose, to be honest with you. I really enjoyed working with that and raising it up off the canvas. And so that was a really fun thing to work on. And but as far as the background is concerned, as you can see, it's broken up into 3 parts it gets increasingly smaller as you go down to the bottom. And so blue really worked well. It's a good complementary color to the orange, but it also worked well against the grays of the skull. And so, but I wanted to, as you can see, create like this sort of highlight around the skull to bring it up off the canvas. I did much of the same here with this flower because, as you can see, the orange stripe and the orange flower actually are all, for the most part, the same colors. And so that shadowing here brought that off the canvas in a way that really doesn't even interfere with the orange stripe, even though, they're the same colors. But yeah, overall, this is probably one of my favorite paintings that I've done thus far. And so what I wanted to do is read the ekphrastic poem that I wrote for it. And keep in mind, an ekphrastic poem is a poem written about a painting, a piece of art, a picture, and it should go along with it. And so this ekphrastic poem I titled Requiem, of course, because it's written specifically for this painting. So I'll go ahead and read this to you guys. Eternal sunflowers sewn together by earth's kisses, happy as blades of grass, free from the weighty cloak of life. Flowering clarion, playing an obituary refrain, reunited with its climbing vines and solemnly clinging to its blissful dreams. And so again, the poem itself was intended to be uplifting and sort of celebrate death. And again, as I said, I put myself in the shoes of someone who was terminal, and that would be for them this sweet release to go on to be in a much more peaceful place. And so again, the original is still available, and if you're interested in it, you can check it out at jasonoldart.com. If you happen to go there and it's sold, you can buy a print, or you can buy some merchandise or an accessory that has the artwork on it. And all that can be found at jasonoldart.com. Again, this painting is titled Requiem. And thanks for watching Behind the Art. And as always, stay stoked.